What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a look at the XRP price chart, as this week the price of XRP has shifted back up higher, getting closer to the upper bound of the range that it's been stuck under for over 1 year. As price sits here today, we are sitting at a near 702 retracement of the fall that we experienced from March through May. For anybody who has ever watched my channel before, you would know that does concern me when we get back to these retracement levels. These are the big moments of either rejection or breakout. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that I'm seeing on the shorter time frame right here to talk really just about this particular context that's happening here and how there's still challenges here on whether or not this is going to turn into a breakout at this time, and if we're going to have to continue working out this area first. But what I also want to do is talk about the bigger context on the bigger time frame that we're working with right here and show why I think that XRP is going to outperform the entire market, and discuss a couple of tweets that I had posted over here on Twitter on the reasons for why when we look at how XRP has performed in relation to the entire cryptocurrency market and how undervalued XRP is currently right now, and that we've completed really all the necessary steps for this to truly be the time for it to go. So we'll start with the short-term context, all right in here, incorporating in this entire range that we're still working in. And then we'll shift to talking about the bigger time frame, incorporating in the total market cap and why XRP is undervalued right now. All right, as talked about at the beginning of the video, we all should know by now, XRP has worked its way back into retracement levels, almost getting to a 702 retracement here just a couple of days ago, currently sitting at 51.4 cents. For me, when I look at this, I have to move to a bigger context and say, well, where are we currently right now? It's not like we're trending upwards and we're getting back to a retracement and we're saying, hey, are we going to break through this retracement and then keep this party going? Or is this now the end of the run and it's time for this whole run to come to a completion? That's not the context we're in currently right now. The context we're in right now is that we just came off this huge fall and now we've been walking around in here for some time and we're back at a retracement level, still within the middle of a big range, which is what we have going on here. So I have to shift to thinking about this in a ranging context of the price action that we're seeing right here. And when we zoom out on that, we know that our price action has been very similar to our last contracting triangle, our last crash, retrace, reaccumulation from 2014 through 2017. And even this retrace and reaccumulation has been nearly identical percentages, with 2016 and 15 being 85.5%, and here in 2021, 2022 being 85.4% for these moves down, nearly absolutely identical. And in both circumstances, having very similar accumulation schematics that ended up happening in here. So one of the things we've paid attention to since early March is that when we finally got our breakout, noticing that, hey, you know what? It doesn't seem like we're really going to get a breakout here, because in Wyckoff Accumulation, it's typical for us to head back to the top of the range and then shift down lower. And since then, we've followed near identically until these last few days. But it's important to understand what actually happened here in this final phase of accumulation. So this is considered all Wyckoff Accumulation in here, this whole range, with our upper boundary up here. This is our selling climax with our secondary test in phase B. Then moving into our final phase, where this is either spring or last point of support before breaking out. I talked about this yesterday in a live stream, how in Wyckoff Accumulation schematics, you have two different phase Cs that you can have here. You can either have phase C where spring and it heads to the lows. We've seen that many times. Or you can have accumulation schematic number 2, where we have last point of support that holds much higher. Examples of this would be to take a look at the two different types of bottoms that we had over here for Bitcoin back in 2015 and 2019. In 2015, we had the spring phase happen in phase C, where the prices fired back down near the lows with an aggressive sell-off to attempt to test supply. However, at the bottom of 2018 and 19, we did not. We had the last point of support phase where we held much higher without an aggressive spring to take us down below, as we did over here in 2015. Aggressive spring, an aggressive spring in phase C, But in 2019, no aggressive spring. We instead have schematic 2 with the last point of support still holding well above the low set on the secondary test of phase B. So the question comes of what type of accumulation are we having happening in here? It's the perfect time for accumulation to be happening, for Wyckoff accumulation to be happening. Like we showed for their Bitcoin back in 2015, this is where Wyckoff accumulation all took place at. It's what we're doing over here for XRP after the same thing occurring in here. All the phases of breakdowns and capitulations have all occurred here, and we've been working on an accumulation schematic for a year. In addition to it being the appropriate place for this type of accumulation schematic to be occurring based on XRP's past behavior and time in the market. So for me, I have to sit here and think of this scenario right here as being phase C, potentially moving to phase D of Wyckoff accumulation, and whether or not it's the last point of support that's just going to hold well, or we're still in phase C and there's still a spring to happen in here before moving into phase D. And the challenges here in this particular phase, which you guys have seen me talk about before, it's kind of a joke going, is that in Wyckoff accumulation, in this phase C, we can just creak along right here, moving sideways, looking as though we are doing last point of support, and then, gotcha, spring. And instead of holding last point of support, we, boom, then turn into spring, and we head a little lower. Now, what we know is that back in 2017, we did spring phase, and we, up until just a few days ago, have been following along very nicely. We've been following along for really 9 months here for XRP with the price behavior that we've seen exhibited in here. Really, all of it, every little phase has been identical in here, from price behavior to price range height. Even all the working down action that happened down in here was the same. And when you wave count what was going on for XRP back in 2017, is you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, making the whole structure an A, B, C ending as the spring phase of Wyckoff accumulation. So we have to remember that there was an A, B, C that finished off XRP at the end of Wyckoff accumulation in 2017 before the bull run began. But clearly, we just now left that level, right? If we were to wave count what happened for XRP back over here, we see the same thing, actually. We see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but boom, we go take out 4. We get higher than 4 over here, unlike what we saw for XRP in its last spring phase in phase C, phase D, Wyckoff accumulation. So now the question has to become for me, is the spring still realistic? Can it actually still happen now? Is there any way this can show up? Or did we already do a last point of support? We're already holding and we're shifting our way back up. Well, what we did see is that it held on top of that 200-day moving average. It's just like what we saw in 2020. We caught it when it was happening. We talked about it. I took a small nibble at the market, adding some XRPs to my bag. But there's just one problem here when it comes to Elliott waves that make it a little concerning currently right now still. And it's one, that we're back at those retracement levels. We haven't gotten through them, so there's no breakout. And 2, the fact that there is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that's right in here. This isn't some type of ABC correction. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive or motive wave that still typically leads to another one down. And I've spent some time really counting out these waves to try to overcome this. But no matter how much I look at it, it's just blatantly staring me in the face that there has been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that has moved us down. And we're back at retracement levels. And that these will typically do another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to see an example of that, we can just shift left a little bit over here to see how that worked on XRP just back in 2021. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, back to retracement levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, making a larger A, B, C. But the point of it was all the clues were derived there from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move down that we ended up having. And that right now we pretty much have textbook moves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a perfect 5-wave Elliott wave to the downside, and we've only gotten back to these retracement levels right here, right now. Get through here, story changes. Get through here, lights out, good night, forget about all of it. But right here at the retracement levels, those have to be big major concerns right now for me, that we're at the retracement and we have a perfect 5-wave Elliott wave count down to get back to retracement. And that's how our last ABC played out. Now, I'm in no way insinuating that we have something of this big magnitude coming next. I mean, that's not the size of this. This is much smaller. But in a zigzag style correction, where if you had waves of near equal length, you could be looking at something along the lines like that. And right now, I know there's a ton of excitement out there for XRP, and I'm right there with you when we're battling against the 702. The only thing I want is for this thing to break out and get the show going. But I definitely want to show you this, right? When prices are up like this, the best thing to do is make complete Moonboy content. Show us going to $100, breakout happening, settlement coming. It's over. But this is just the cold hard reality on the chart, at least, is that you have a very technical count. You're back to a retracement level. We haven't had a breakout just yet. So right here, I have to kind of cool my jets. I have to remain calm here to not get too excited, too overwhelmed, start throwing my money at XRP, being like, hey, we're breaking out right now, because we're not yet. And just recognizing we're still in the range. We're still in here. It's still a Wyckoff accumulation. We're still in phase C. The question is whether we've gotten through that last point of support to move into phase D, or if we're just kind of like just getting our way in there. And there's still a little bit of a dip to happen in here. You can imagine us just getting that little break right there. Still more of a dip to come, or even more of a spring phase. So it's exciting to see some action, but definitely recognizing this was an impulsive or emotive wave down of 5 waves. Technically speaking, this is just ABC right back to a 702 retracement currently right now. And we can't, or I can't, get ridiculously excited until we break out and at least get like to at least 55 cents. But I have to remember where we are currently right now. We're in that last phase of Wyckoff accumulation. In 2016, we did have the ABC. The only difference here is that our B leg is getting higher and higher into the retracement levels, but it doesn't take us out of the woods just yet. And our wave count does not corroborate with a break happening. And the irony is we have stalled here underneath retracement levels. So just to keep our eyes on it, keep the cool, and just understanding where we are, right? There's been no breakout of any sense of the word, and it's just still ranging right underneath the retrace level. But again, shifting out to bigger perspective, right? So this is all temporary talk that we're having here. We're saying, look, dudes, there's still a C leg that has to come here because of our count that we have and because we're stuck underneath the retracement levels. What we have to see in order to say, look, there's no way this is going to happen is to get through these retracement levels that we're at right here to say that our odds improve. We haven't done that yet. So until then, caution has to be exercised that there's a perfect wave count here to imply that would be coming. We may have a different structure than what we have here, but the wave count implies it. Get out and forget about it. But I definitely feel I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't show these things on the channel and if I just implied we were going to the moon right now. You see them. For me, it doesn't change anything on my perspective of XRP. I still think it's going to be one of the best performers in the market because I think it's incredibly undervalued in relation to the entire market. And so let's move on to talk about that to say, look, in the short-term time frame, there are challenges. We're at that 702 retracement. That wave structure is not giving any clues to breakout happening yet. I do get it. There will be 30 replies saying the case is over. The case will settle. It's going to send it skyrocketing. I understand. We speculate that. And I know the deadlines are getting closer and closer. June 13th is the big date and all that stuff. There are tweets by Brad Garlinghouse, everything like that. I do understand we're speculating like crazy. But I've been in this lawsuit for 2.5 years and have watched that the whole time. And that it still has continued to follow the charts after 2.5 years of people saying, you don't understand. It's going to come to an end because of case. I understand, but it seems more likely the case is waiting for the price action to get ready than the other way around. But keeping it in mind, it doesn't seem like we're out of the clear yet. There would have to be a breakout for us to be in a trending market. But as of right now, just remember, We are still range bound. Okay, so moving over to the bigger picture, I'm going to bring up a topic of measuring XRP versus the total market cap of crypto. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, hey, BCB, what do you think about the XRP BCC chart? So XRP versus Bitcoin. Ever since I've been in crypto, it's been very common to look at altcoins measured in Bitcoin rather than measured in US dollars. The thing is, I've spent countless hours trying to study that to see if we can find correlations happening in there. And I have determined that the price action in the cryptocurrency market responds much more to the USD values rather than to actual Bitcoin values. If I found correlations that happened in here, and if I found consistent behavior that happened in here or relative signal that was showing up in these charts, we would talk about them more often. But even XRP versus Bitcoin, it's still just been range bound the same since, May of 2021. This is a range that it has been in for 2 years, hitting the upper bound twice. You can almost see Wyckoff accumulation happening in here. You can almost see that Spring Phase actually already happened in here for Wyckoff accumulation over here on the XRP versus Bitcoin price chart. And that, hey, maybe it's starting to move its way up. But the cold hard reality is still this is also range bound, and it's been range bound for 2 years. And really, if we go back and we take out like the SEC lawsuit and then the recovery that we go and hit that top of April 14th, this has really been our range the most time. The only really times we've been out of this range since July of 2019 has been during the SEC lawsuit and then the recovery back in April getting to $2. Otherwise, the whole time has been spent in this range accumulating. Maybe looking at it when it starts shifting its way back up, should it do so, to maybe pay attention to this level right in here, this height that's set back here on December of 2018. For no other reason than to say that's the same level that Ethereum has gotten to and that Ethereum has been struggling at, are these 2018 price levels over here. So Ethereum's peak is there from May of 2018 for XRP. That's, way over here. Do I find this to be a scientific thing to study and say that's the area that we have to watch for because it's the XRP versus Bitcoin price chart? Not a huge fib level. It gets you to about 50% right there. I don't see a huge resistance over here. But okay, we could look at the other ones and say that's what happened in there. So for me, this isn't the most important thing. But just to humor the idea, I said, well, why don't we measure other assets in the market in XRP, right? Sure, like many, part of me, I've been kind of like sitting there thinking about my portfolio. I accumulated stuff in November and December. I have this little list of stuff I'm wanting to accumulate right now. But of course, part of me, my heart is pulling at me saying, hey, I should be accumulating XRP. But, is there going to be something that happens in this market where XRP is one of the last ones to take off? And I'll wish I had some other altcoins that I could have gotten a pump out of, sold it and rotated it. And, going through those mental gymnastics, which I'm sure a lot of people are right now. And I said, well, why don't I start kind of comparing some of these altcoins that we see throughout the market, the popular altcoins, and comparing them to XRP and measure them in their XRP value and see how they're looking. And so we can look at things like Filecoin or Cardano, and Cosmos, and Ethereum and say, how much is each one of these worth in XRP? And right now, one Ethereum is worth 3,681 XRP. So I've been kind of going through market ones and I'm like, this one kind of looks like it's got some weakness going on compared to XRP. You could see Stellar Lumens in XRP value has been holding the support level right in here, being worth at least 0.21 XRP per Stellar. And that's been going on since January of 2018. So ever since the peak of the bull run in 2017 and 2018, Stellar Lumens has held above this 0.21 XRP value. But here in just the last 2 months, it's finally started to break down and XRP is gaining value in relation to Stellar Lumens. It's outperforming Stellar Lumens. And so I was just kind of playing with this idea. People are wanting to say, hey, can you measure it versus Bitcoin? I'm like, well, why don't we just measure it versus everything? And speaking of everything, why don't we just measure it versus the entire market cap of the entire cryptocurrency market? And I realized that there's really, you can just visually, we can kind of see there's just this big range here when we measure the total market cap of crypto versus XRP. And currently, the entire market cap of crypto would be valued 2.148 trillion XRP. And it's not hard to visually see with our eyes. This is near the upper bound of the range that we typically hit. And the lower bound of the range is way down here. And of course, my typical self, I'm like, well, can I count any Elliott waves in here? Can I pull out any fibs here? Can I do any relative strength? Can I see underlying weakness? Can I see bearish divergences to say that this could head back down to the bottom side of this range once again, and the oscillation between the market just continues. And if we were to see that happen, this would mean that the value of XRP would gain. And this would mean that XRP would gain value in relation to the rest of the market. And that while we sit here on the upper bound, the total market cap is overvalued compared to XRP. And when we get way down here, then the total market cap is undervalued compared to XRP. The other way to think about it is when the total market cap is up here near the upper bound of the range, it means XRP is undervalued. And when we get down here to the bottom of the range, it means XRP is overvalued. And to understand the math behind this, for the market cap of all of crypto, including Bitcoin, altcoins, stablecoins, everything, for the whole market cap to be valued at 2.18 trillion XRP, the simple math for that is understanding that the total market cap of crypto is $1.107 trillion. And that one XRP is currently worth 51 cents, technically 51.522 cents. And if we divide that $1.107 trillion by 0.51522, our answer is 2.14 trillion XRP. So if this falls, what does it imply? It would imply that one, the market cap crypto stays the same and XRP's price goes up, or that the whole market collapses, but XRP somehow maintains its value, which is highly unlikely. The more likely thing is just that XRP gains more value versus the rest of the market. Because what would happen if XRP, instead of being 51 cents, was instead $5? If each XRP was $5 and the market was still $1.170 trillion, what would the value of the market be in relation to XRP? Well, it'd be 1.107 trillion divided by 5, which would then make the market worth 221 billion XRP, which is way down here. So if the market cap of the entire cryptocurrency market stayed exactly where it is today, and XRP went firing to the upside and just sucked the liquidity out of every altcoin and Bitcoin and stablecoin and everything, and the market cap stayed exactly the same, but XRP went to $5, we would then see this happen right here. And then at that point, XRP would be overvalued in relation to the entire market. However, it's highly unlikely that would happen, that the trillion, 1.107 trillion, would likely be higher if XRP went to $5. It's historically what we see, the whole market moves together. But that's the concept of this chart. When XRP is cheap and that the market has risen a whole lot, then XRP is undervalued. And when we get back to the bottom, it means XRP is overvalued. And so things I've been looking at here on this chart are just say, well, here we go. What is this right here? Okay, this is like the first bull run of 2017. Here's the second one. I'm looking at this. I'm saying, well, look at where we're at, right? We're back near the top of this range. But are we really back at the top of the range? One thing I noticed is that we've actually done a retrace in here, and that this is actually a retracement to a 786 Fibonacci retracement that has happened here, and it has happened with an ABC style move that has happened in here with all the waves for it as well. Another thing that I've noticed is that this pullback that has happened in here has also been two retracement levels in here, and that this is a retracement to 702 right in here. And that when I look at it on the bigger time frames, I see weakness on the weekly time frame, and when I look on the monthly time frame, I see weakness as well. I see nothing indicating strength happening here, especially when we look down here at the MACD. You see it is still pointed straight down. That's a good sign to see that pointed straight down for the total market cap measured in XRP. There's definitely nothing going on here with the stochastic RSI attempting to get off these lows, but then turning itself back down to the lows. So I find it very interesting to see that the market cap of crypto is in the overvalued territory in relation to XRP, and that XRP is undervalued in this market, and that we've seen two major retraces happen in here for this, that it actually went back to a 786 retracement and currently right now back at a 702 retracement, bouncing off of here and looking weaker and weaker by the moment. You guys know that I'm not a huge trend line guy, but if you want to play with any kind of trend line thing going on in there, leaving a little bit of question on, is this thing getting ready to go right now? I've measured this versus other market caps. You can look at others, which is the entire altcoin market, excluding the top 10. You can see it also has outperformed XRP since 2015. But since stalling out here at this top, holding the support level, you can see trend has even broken in here. And then when we look at bigger time frames as well, we see the same thing. It's just turned over, heading down when you measure the entire market in XRP. So even the market kind of has itself primed for that to be our move, for XRP to steal back some of the market cap and get itself valued appropriately. And we've seen all these market caps do these retracements. We've seen them show underlying weakness, and we have retracement after retracement after retracement with more weakness and weakness and weakness. And that a fall on this chart would actually be the best thing for XRP that could happen. So wanted to show that the market dynamic supports it being time for XRP as well on the bigger time frame. And while this seems to be what's going on here on like our hourly chart of what's happening here on the price action, I definitely want to point to the bigger picture, right? These are my bigger picture perspectives of being in this Wyckoff accumulation schematic. We're just trying to figure out this final phase of last point of support or spring, but that we've definitely been in this thing just like we've been before, the exact same size corrections. The timing's all lining up for these things to happen. We got optimism for the case. I understand everybody's excited about that. But then we've got these things too with XRP being undervalued in relation to the whole market. There's just a lot of optimistic signs pointing here on the charts for XRP. But I know a lot of times we get caught up in the exact moment of where we're at right now, thinking this is definitely the moment that it's going to happen. And maybe it is. If we get through the retracements, maybe it is. But I have to show these in here to show the complications of, a final phase of Wyckoff accumulation, where we're at, last point of support, spring phase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABCs, all this stuff happening in here. That range contexts are very, very, very difficult. That's what we're in. We're still in a range, and just having to keep that in mind of whether or not there's still a little bit more to work out in here to do, but not losing sight of the bigger picture of what's hopefully coming down the pike. So I'm certainly excited, and I don't think there's much more work left here to do before XRP goes and reclaims its proper valuation in this market. So I just wanted to show my viewpoint on it when it comes to the really big time frame, the valuation compared to the total market cap, showing where we are in Wyckoff accumulation in that final phase of last point of support or spring phase. And that my big picture perspective is like super optimistic. But also I am recognizing here we are in this last point of support or in this spring phase of Wyckoff accumulation of phase C or phase D, and that, structurally there isn't a breakout here yet. And I have to be cognizant of that and aware of that and just respect that right now. But it doesn't change my view of the big picture. It's just that in the short-term time frame, it's kind of what we're dealing with. So we'll see how things play out. We'll keep up to date on it. And I'll check in with this again, I'm sure, multiple times next week. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped paint a little bit of a picture of where we're at on smaller timeframes and bigger timeframes for you. And I really enjoyed putting this one together. So, all right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.